I'm a certified classical homeopath and then also a certified intuitive eating counselor. And both of those things came to me through my own experience of dealing with my health and different issues. And I've always been, I'd say, a chronic dieter, somebody really concerned about my health, wanting to eat the right thing. And so intuitive eating has been a great guide for me in terms of kind of getting some peace and freedom around foods and my body, and just knowing kind of what to eat and what feels right for me. What brought me to intuitive eating is my daughter was diagnosed with anorexia during the pandemic and kind of opened my eyes. This was one of the treatment books they used in her treatment center, and it just opened my eyes to some ways that we could eat differently or have a different relationship with food and kind of more normalized food. So she's doing well now, and I'm really grateful for that. But in the midst of all that, it just kind of introduced me to this. So that's kind of what brought me to intuitive eating. Tonight, we'll talk about what is intuitive eating, some of the benefits, the principles, things I love about it, and then just, is it for you? You'll have to figure that out for you, but that's just kind of a pondering question. And then time for questions. So intuitive eating, it's been around for a while. And I think if we think about those two words, we probably know what intuitive and eating mean, but doing it as a framework was officially introduced in 1995 by Evelyn Triboli and Elise Reich. And they were both very experienced, dietitians, amongst other things. And so they wrote the official book. Now there's been more than 125 published studies showing its benefit. It is very popular and trending on all kinds of social media platforms, but essentially it's a way of eating that helps you get back to yourself and really tune into what works best for your body, regardless of a more prescriptive eating, regardless of things we may have learned along the way. It's really a way to get back to kind of what works well for your body. So here's another definition. It's a personal process of honoring your health by paying attention to the messages of your body and meeting your physical and emotional needs. So, sometimes with food, there can be an emotional component to it, right? It's a celebration. Everybody goes out to dinner, or it's a birthday, or it's a holiday, or it's a Tuesday, whatever it is. There is an emotional component around food, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But really making sure that our emotional needs are being met in the appropriate way, and not, using food as a way to kind of cope with our emotions. But the thing I like about this definition, it's just really about slowing down and paying attention to the messages that your body's giving you, whether you're hungry, or maybe you're tired, or maybe you need, more fresh air, whatever it is. It's just really the idea of paying attention to what our bodies need. So some general benefits, and these were taken from some intuitive eaters. They have great body appreciation and satisfaction. They have positive emotional functioning, greater life satisfaction, an unconditional self-regard and optimism, psychological hardiness, and greater motivation to exercise when the focus is on enjoyment rather than on guilt or appearance. So these are some of the benefits of intuitive eating. I would say there's other things as well, but these were like what came out of a study. And then, is intuitive eating for everyone? And I would say yes, and then maybe later. So if you are somebody on the yes column where you've been dieting for a really long time and kind of looking for a way to find peace around food, if you're really dialed into counting calories or eating in a clean manner, sometimes that can get us out of touch with what our bodies really need. If there's mild body rumination, or have like a love-hate relationship with your scale, then intuitive eating may be a nice fit or a nice framework for you to consider in changing your relationship with food. If you're under body weight or bulimic, or have more eating disorder tendencies, now may not be the right time, or have been in any sort of inpatient treatment facilities for eating disorders. I wouldn't suggest intuitive eating at this particular moment, but maybe in the future. And then I have a link for the National Eating Disorder Association if people do need help with eating disorders. So here are the principles, and I'll just kind of go through the highlights of them. There's 10, and when they created them, they were really not made in any sort of order necessarily. And when I work with people, I start where they need to start. So some people, it's, the movement is really difficult, or, honoring their hunger. They don't know when they're hungry. So I'll just kind of start where people feel like they need to start. So the first one is rejecting the diet mentality. And that's where we get to kind of have our eyes opened a little bit to how much we're steeped in diet culture, and you got to eat this to be healthy. You can't eat that or you're not healthy, and the kind of the good and bad foods and things like that. Honoring your hunger is, honoring your biological hunger in terms of, wow, I noticed that at 10 o'clock, I'm hungry, but I kind of push through and have a coffee, or I don't honor when I'm really hungry. So that principle really helps you get in touch with your hunger cues. Making peace with food is all about, it's kind of one of the scarier principles, I would say, especially when people first learn about it, because it's giving yourself unconditional permission to eat foods. And that can feel scary if you've been in a kind of a diet framework your whole life, and just, kind of opening the gates and saying, go ahead, eat whatever you want can be really scary. But there's ways you can do it. There's ways you can take baby steps to do it. And all of these principles, it's kind of like baby steps. And it takes a while to really integrate them into, your kind of automatic thinking. Challenging the food police is about those the beliefs around kind of diet culture, but also like the little voices that come to us when we're having our meals, whether it's, a critical voice, or it's could be a nurturing voice, whatever it is, just having that awareness of, wow, I have so many rules, and I have so many things that I should and should not do. And where did this even come from? So challenging the food police gives you a way to reframe some of those beliefs and ideas. Number 5 is discovering the satisfaction factor. And that is about really getting to like the food you eat, and really asking yourself before you're sitting down to a meal or a snack, what do I feel like eating? Like, what sounds good, versus just, what am I allowed to have, or what should I have? It's really a matter of tuning into what sounds good, and what would be, make you feel satisfied. Feel your fullness is number 6. And again, that kind of ties in with the honoring your hunger. It's like, I know when I'm hungry, but do I know when I'm full? And there's different, subtle cues that lead up to fullness, whether it's a physical feeling, or, just some sort of sensation in your body that you may or may not be aware of. 7 is cope with your emotions with kindness. So this is, again, really looking at, am I eating emotionally? Are there certain triggers? Are there certain activities? When we eat in a group or go out socially to eat, we tend to overeat or eat more than we would if we were on our own. So it's really about staying present in those situations as best you can, and enjoying the company, and of course enjoying your food, but also making it more than just about the meal. Respecting your body, that's principle number 8, and that is where you really get to see, there's a whole thing about kind of your genetic blueprint. And, if you look back at pictures of relatives, and I always think, no one in my family was ever a size 0. Like, why do I think that I'm going to suddenly, be a size 0 and fit in some, be taller than my aunts, so it's really respecting the bodies that we have, and learning to love your body just as it is. Movement, feel the difference, is just about having a healthier relationship with exercise and movement, and really figuring out what ways you like to move your body and what things bring you joy, whether you like exercising with people, or exercising on your own, or outside, or indoors, or whatever it might be. And then the last principle is honor your health with gentle nutrition. And they did purposely put this one at the end, because it is where you get to look at, kind of incorporating all the other principles, but then also keeping in mind, the nutrient value of different foods, and making choices based on, how your body feels and what nutrients you may need at any given time. So what to expect, this is always the question, like, will I gain weight? Will I eat out of control? Will I really get this? And what the authors of the book say, by following the 10 principles of intuitive eating, you will normalize your relationship with eating in your body. So weight loss may be a side effect, it may not be a side effect, but the idea really is to find a kind of neutral, peaceful place with your body and food. And that if weight loss is your main goal, then this may not be the framework for you at this time, just because the preoccupation with weight sometimes interferes with you making intuitive choices, right? Because you're still got that diet mentality going. You still, thinking, well, this has this many calories and this, so it's hard to be intuitive when you've got that kind of script running in the background. And I get it, like we've been doing that for a long time. So it's not uncommon for people to feel it's hard to unlearn that and to do it a different way. But typically they found that if you're just focusing on weight loss, it may be linked to diminished health, because rather than focusing on a healthy lifestyle behaviors, which I feel is kind of like a bigger picture than just hitting a certain number on the scale. Okay. And then there's also, wrong way. There's also different stages of intuitive eating. So it is a process. The first stage is more of a readiness, where you've kind of like, you know what, I am so tired of dieting. I don't even know what to eat anymore, where you're just kind of hitting bottom, if you will, hitting diet bottom. You're not really probably cued into your hunger cues, and you may be eating for comfort or trying to cope with your feelings with eating. The second stage is more of an exploration, where you're really having this learning, like, whoa, I don't really know what's happening, but I'm interested in this. And so there may be like a hyper consciousness or a hyper focus. It may feel a little bit awkward, because it's like, oh, you can eat whatever you want. And so it's like this scary, like, oh my gosh, I'm exploring, but I'm not sure. And so, each stage takes a different amount of time for different people based on, their own experiences. The third stage is crystallization, where you kind of start to have, oh, well, you're not obsessing about food as much, and you're eating, and then you're like, I'm done. Like, I know I can eat more later. And so it's just, you're starting to kind of, those ideas are starting to crystallize in your brain. Awakening is where you're having more of a comfortable, free flow style of eating, where you're eating when you're hungry, or tuning in when you're full. And you may be choosing more nutrient dense foods at this time, not because you should, but because you feel better when you do. And then the last stage is kind of you're really tuning into your body's your intuition, and figuring out what you want to eat, how it feels in your body, honoring your hunger, and respecting your fullness. And then, so things that I love about intuitive eating, I really do feel like I enjoy my food. There have been times in many different food plans and diets that I've been on, and where they give you these recipes to make you like, oh, this will be your dessert, and it's like some weird thing that you're like, okay, that tastes good, but it's not really what I want, and so I really do enjoy my food. I feel like I have a variety of food. I have things that, my body, I think the last kind of major food plan or diet I went on was to heal my gut. And it worked for a while. Like, I did feel good, but then all the same symptoms that I was having before just came back. And so I really wasn't healing anything. And then they had like a cheat day where you could eat whatever you wanted. And I found on those days, I was just like out of control eating, because the rest of the time it was very measured. It was, so I don't know why I brought that up, but I do enjoy my food now. I don't feel guilty or bad for being hungry. I don't know if it's from I don't know where it stemmed in me, but just this idea of it's not good to be hungry. I think, being on different diets and things, it was just like, okay, stave off the hunger as long as you can, and so now when I'm hungry, I'm like, oh, I can honor my hunger. I can have a snack. I didn't really wasn't much of a big snacker before. I was usually eat 3 meals. So now I snack and I find that it's exactly what I needed, even though before was just doing 3 meals. And I don't tend to eat as much as at my meals anymore. Some days I do. It just kind of depends on my activity level, but the guilt is definitely gone. I'm not constantly looking at my body every chance I get and judging it. Just kind of that body image and letting the scale kind of determine how I feel about myself, or the size of my pants really, determine if I'm okay or not. So that has definitely lessened. And then the bye-bye scale and the mental torture. Um, that is one of the things that, people can have a love-hate relationship with their scale, depending on what it says. I tune into what my body really wants or needs in the moment, and sometimes it's a nap and not food. So really just there's a nice self-assessment that they offer, self-care assessment, that's in the workbook, where you get to really see the different areas of your life to see what may need some attention, whether it's more sleep, more activity, more connection with friends, whatever it might be. I don't dread exercise or put myself on a strict plan that I can't sustain. And I really do find, I joined a gym, which I don't know, I kind of go back and forth with gyms. I don't really like them, but this one has a massage chair. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go, even if I go for 10 minutes and do whatever exercises I do. And then I do the 10 minutes of the massage chair. And that's been a really nice way for me to take care of my body, and not that I'm, sweating and sore, but it's just like a consistent way to take care of myself that I wasn't doing before. Choosing where to eat out is not a big deal anymore. And that used to be a really hard thing, to eat out, whether it was just too many decisions, too many options, not feeling like the food was healthy enough, or just, just not feeling I don't know. I think it was just a very stressful experience to eat out before. And now I don't really mind. I mean, if we eat out, we eat out. If we don't, we don't. It doesn't stress me out the way it used to. I don't obsess about food. And I think a big part of this is because I'm eating when I'm hungry. So I'm not getting to a point of really um, ravenous appetite before I eat a meal, which is what I used to do before. And because I can eat, I'm giving myself permission to eat different foods. They're not as exciting. There's a term called habituation that they talk about in the Make Peace with Food, where you have that food over and over and your body starts going, yeah, that's okay. I don't really want that anymore. Like, I've had enough of that, whatever that is. So the obsession of food or wanting to get whatever it is, that deprivation is just not there anymore. So it kind of lessens any sort of craving for foods. I feel a peace and freedom around eating, which I did not have before. It was really always a little bit of a struggle. And then my body's at a natural size. I'm no longer suppressing my weight with strict rules around my eating. And I feel like I did that for a really long time. And I think my daughter's diagnosis kind of woke me up to the fact that I really wasn't eating, I was really kind of always on a diet. And even though it was healthy and I wasn't like in always losing weight, I was always trying to just kind of keep at this a little bit of an unnatural smaller size than my natural size. And that was probably the hardest thing about it. When I started intuitive eating, I was like, what's going on? Adding more weight just felt really scary. But now it feels, I don't know, I feel so grateful that I'm not in a constant struggle with the scale, the food. I feel like I'm at a health, I've done lab work, like I'm at a healthy, everything's healthy. The scale is a different number than I would want it to be, but it's like, everything else is, I'm a healthy person. So I just like letting go of that metric. So is it for you? I will let you have that, make your own decision.